the tank that never was. Imagine the 90s. The wild, hungry, strange 90s. A great country had collapsed. Factories were shutting down. Engineers who designed the best equipment in the world were going to trade at markets. And the army, recently the most powerful on the planet, was in a deep crisis. And it was at this very time, like a phoenix from the ashes, a project was born that was meant to show the whole world. We are broken, but not defeated. Our minds are still working ahead of the curve. This was not just a tank. It was a challenge to the entire world tank industry, a challenge to the very logic of decline. Object 640, the Black Eagle. The name itself sounded like an omen. An eagle, a proud, powerful bird. Black, the color of secrecy, of something hidden and frightening. It flashed at exhibitions like a ghost, leaving behind only a handful of photos, technical rumors, and a sea of questions. It was feared in the West. It was whispered about in the Pentagon's analytical centers. Its existence was both confirmed and denied. And then it disappeared. Officially, it was never adopted for service. But, as you will soon understand, the claim that it doesn't exist is the biggest lie. Because the Black Eagle is alive. It has simply been reborn. So what was this machine? Why is its fate so tragic and yet so brilliant? And what does it mean for Russia today? Let's figure out. Let's dig deep like the very gun it was supposed to carry. Birth and chaos. The context of the era. To understand the phenomenon of the Black Eagle, you need to immerse yourself in that era. The 90s in Russia are not just after the Soviet Union. It was a time of economic catastrophe, comparable to the Great Depression. The country's GDP fell by more than half. Industrial production by 3 times. The defense budget was cut multiple times over. Many believe that Russia would never need new tanks again. Economic background. Russia in the 90s. Hyperinflation. In 1992, inflation reached 2,500%. The population's savings burned out overnight. The state had no time for new tanks. Deindustrialization. Factories that were the pride of the USSR stood idle. Transmash, where the Eagle was born, survived as best it could, trying to produce tractors and other civilian products. Brain drain. The best designers, engineers, and physicists were leaving the country or leaving the profession. Preserving a design bureau under such conditions was a feat in itself. And so, in this hell, on sheer enthusiasm, a group of OMS designers, using the developments of their Leningrad colleagues from KB3, began work on a machine of the future. The first showing in 1997 was like an explosion. Imagine poverty and confusion all around, but on the test range, a tank that looks like it arrived from the 21st century. The first prototype was essentially a hybrid. They took the proven chassis from the good old TDU and mounted a completely new, futuristic turret on it. This was a move of genius. There was no need to spend years and billions on creating a brand new chassis. It was a way to quickly show the main thing, a new concept, a new philosophy of the tank. And that philosophy was called the unmanned turret. Revolution in armor. Why the Black Eagle is a new era. Now let's discard dry technical terms and explain in simple terms what the genius of the Eagle was. All contemporary tanks, both our T-90 and the American Abrams and the German Leopard, were built according to one scheme as old as the world. A crew of 3 or 4 people sits in the hull and in the turret. The gun is in the turret. The ammunition is often right in the fighting compartment around the crew. What does this mean in practice? Imagine you are sitting in a metal barrel, surrounded on all sides by ammunition. An enemy shell hits you. Even if the armor holds, hell breaks loose inside. Screams, fire, pieces of metal, and hot gases flying around the compartment. Surviving in such hell is almost a miracle. The Black Eagle broke this paradigm. It said, enough. We will not hide the crew behind thicker armor. We will hide them from everything. And here is the simple scheme of its genius. Unmanned turret. The rotating part on top, where the gun is located, is empty. There is no one there. The gun is loaded and fired automatically. The crew of 3 people, the driver mechanic, the gunner, and the commander, sit in one strong armored capsule in the tank's hull at the bottom. Their compartment is separated from everything else by a massive armored bulkhead. Armored capsule. This is their personal impregnable bunker inside the tank. Even if a shell penetrates the turret and detonates the ammunition in the autoloader, the blast wave and shrapnel will not reach the crew. They will be safe, as in the most reliable safe. What does this give? Phenomenal survivability. The crew is alive. An alive crew is a tank that can continue to fight, can retreat, can live. Smaller silhouette. The turret can be made lower and smaller because there is no need to place people there. The tank becomes a less noticeable target. Psychological comfort. Imagine what it's like to know that you're protected not just by steel, but by an entire engineering concept, that your life is a priority. The morale of such a crew would be through the roof. This was not just a step forward. It was a leap over an entire generation. Western designers have been drawing similar schemes on paper for decades, but no one dared to embody them in metal. Too complicated, too expensive, too revolutionary. Russian engineers in the hungry 90s dared, and they did it. Steel muscles and a sharp beak. Technical analysis in simple words. Now let's break down what this figuratively flying eagle was made of. Armor. Not just steel, but a smart shell. Mass about 50 tons. Seems like a lot, but the same Abrams weighs about 70. The Eagle was 20 tons lighter, but at the same time, thanks to the new layout, it was estimated to be protected better. Multi-layer composite armor. It's like a layered cake made of steel, ceramics, and other materials. Each layer dampens the energy of the projectile in its own way. Built-in dynamic protection of the third generation. Imagine little boxes on the armor. Inside them, explosives. When a cumulative shell, which burns through armor with a jet of molten metal, hits them, this explosive detonates towards it and destroys the deadly jet. The Eagle's protection was of a new level. It could fight even tandem warheads, which strike with a double blow, and attention protected against shells attacking from above, like modern Javelin ADGMs. And that was in those years. Active protection system draws too. This is already science fiction. This is a system that sees a shell or missile flying towards the tank and destroys it in flight, shooting at it with its own small missile or hitting it with a fragmentation field. It's like a personal anti-missile shield. Gun, the main argument. Here the rumors are indeed the most fantastic. The main version is a gun with a caliber of 152 millimeters. But listen, that's a whole 27 millimeters more than a standard tank gun. The muzzle energy is simply monstrous. Such a shell, according to experts, could pierce the frontal armor of any Western tank of that time, like a tin can from a kilometer away. But the caliber is not the main thing. The main thing is that this gun was part of a completely new fire control system, FCS. The crew in their capsule does not look through the usual sights. Instead, they have numerous screens. The picture on them is formed by cameras, thermal imagers, radars installed all around the perimeter of the tank. The effect is called seeing through armor. The commander can literally look through the tank down or back without sticking out. He sees the battlefield in 360 degrees. On a cloudy night, in the rain, in the smoke, the tank remains all-seeing. Engine, the heart of a Predator. To move this beast, power was needed. It was fitted with a gas turbine engine, GT1500, with a power of 1,500 horsepower. Imagine 1,500 real horses rushing from a standstill. This would have provided the Eagle with phenomenal mobility and speed despite all its protection. Why didn't it take flight? Economics, politics, and the battle of the Titans. And now the saddest and most interesting question. If the tank was so good, why didn't we see it in service? Why did it remain a prototype? The answer lies in 3 words: money, politics, competition. Economic analysis, the price of a breakthrough. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Russia simply did not have the money to deploy the serial production of a completely new tank. This is not a modernization of an old one. This is the creation of new production lines from scratch, personnel training, and the creation of a maintenance infrastructure. Estimated cost. There are no exact figures, but experts believe the cost of one Black Eagle at the stage of launching in a series could have been 1.5 to 2 times higher than that of the T-90. For an army that was barely making ends meet and had thousands of old, but cheap T-72s, this was an unaffordable luxury. The cheap and cheerful principle. The Ministry of Defense was betting on a deep modernization of existing platforms. Why build a new expensive tank if you can upgrade an old one by installing new fire control systems and protection? This is how the T-90 and then the T-90A appeared. Political and corporate battle. This is where the real Game of Thrones in the world of Russian tank building begins. The Black Eagle had a powerful rival, the T-95 tank, not to be confused with the T-90 from Ural-Vagonzavod, UVZ. Two giants, two design bureaus, Omsk and Nizhny Tagil, were fighting for the budget in the favor of the military. UVZ and the T-95. This was a different project, also advanced, but more conservative in terms of layout, man turret. But UVZ is a monster with huge influence and lobbying power. The Army's choice. In the end, the military, weighing all the pros and cons, chose the path of least resistance to develop and modernize what is already there. The T-95 project was also closed, but its developments were used. The Black Eagle turned out to be too revolutionary, too daring for its time. Officially, the military said, production of Object 640 is not planned. But they immediately added, solutions tested on this model will serve as a significant groundwork for the modernization of existing tanks. It was an excellent formulation to save face. We are not adopting it, but we will use it. Phoenix from the ashes. The spirit of the eagle in the Armata. And here we come to the most important point. I'm sure you've already guessed. The Black Eagle did not die. It was reborn. Look at the newest Russian tank T-14 Armata. What do we see? Unmanned turret? Yes. Crew in an armored capsule in the hull? Yes. Powerful composite armor and active protection? Yes. Advanced fire control system with a circular view? Yes. All the main revolutionary ideas, first tested and refined on the Black Eagle in the 90s, found their embodiment in the Armata 20 years later. The Eagle was the pioneer, the test bed for risky solutions. It proved that it works. It took the full blow of the skeptics and all the technical risks. The Armata is its legitimate heir, embodied in an era when technology and finances made it possible to bring these ideas to a serial model. So, when you look at the Armata, remember, you are looking at the spirit of the Black Eagle, at its dream, which has finally come true. The legend that teaches, the story of the Black Eagle, is not a story of failure. It is a story that true breakthroughs are often born in the most difficult times. It is a story about the genius of engineers who, despite everything, continue to look to the future. It is a lesson that even a seemingly failed development can become an invaluable foundation for future victories. It was too ahead of its time, but it is such projects that pave the way to tomorrow. It was the forerunner. It was the one who blazed the trail into the future, along which the Armata is now walking. So our saga about the Black Eagle has come to an end. I hope it was as interesting for you as it was for me when I was collecting and analyzing this information. This story showed that even in the darkest of times, the light of a brilliant idea can find its way. What do you think? Did the Eagle have a chance to go in a series in the 90s? Or was its fate predetermined? Maybe you served in the tank forces and can assess this concept from a practical point of view. Let's discuss in the comments. Your opinion is very important to us. And of course, if you've read this far, you are a true armor fan. That means our channel is for you. Subscribe, hit the bell, so you don't miss our next deep dives into the world of weapons, history, and technology. This was author's name / channel name. See you next time.